I didn't plan for it to happen. In fact, everything about that night screamed that I should have stayed away. The air was heavy, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. I felt it the moment I saw him across the room, that unspoken electricity humming beneath my skin, the dangerous pull that had no reason to exist and yet refused to be ignored. Our eyes met, and in that instant, I knew I was already too far gone. There was something in the way he looked at me, not just hunger, not just curiosity, but a silent recognition, as if he had already known every secret I carried, every wound I kept hidden. My chest tightened. I told myself to look away. I didn't. When his hand brushed against mine, it was almost accidental, almost casual. But nothing about that touch was casual. It burned. It rattled. It carved its way into me like a brand. For the first time in years, my body remembered what it felt like to be alive, to be wanted, to be seen in ways words could never express. I froze. My breath caught in my throat, betraying me. My heart betrayed me too, thundering wildly against my ribs, demanding more of him, even as my mind screamed that I couldn't, that I shouldn't, that this was forbidden. But he didn't let go. His hand lingered, warm and steady, grounding me and igniting me at the same time. His thumb brushed lightly against my skin, a gesture so simple, yet it sent a shiver through me that I couldn't hide. He must have felt it too, because his breath hitched, and for a moment the entire world disappeared. It was only him. Only us. I whispered his name, barely audible, but it felt like a confession, a surrender. He leaned closer, his voice low, almost trembling. "Do you feel this too?" God, I did. I felt it everywhere. I felt it in my veins, in the way my knees threatened to give way, in the way my soul leaned toward he. The night after his touch, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every detail over and over again, the way his hand lingered on mine, the warmth of his skin, the way his voice trembled when he whispered. It should have been nothing, a fleeting moment, a mistake. Yet my body burned with the memory of him, and my heart refused to let it go. Desire pulled me one way, fear the other. I felt as if I were standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind whipping around me, daring me to jump. Part of me wanted to step back to safety, to pretend nothing had happened, to bury the electricity between us deep enough that it couldn't surface again. But another part of me, the part that had been numb for far too long, craved the fall. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt his thumb brush against my skin again. My body betrayed me, craving the forbidden, aching for a touch that wasn't mine to have. And with every craving came the ache of guilt. I told myself it was wrong. I told myself I was strong enough to walk away. But every time I repeated those lies, my chest tightened with longing, and my heart whispered that I was already his. I tried to fight it. God knows I did. When I saw him again, I kept my distance. I avoided his gaze, avoided the gravity of his presence. But the harder I tried to resist, the stronger the pull became. It was torture. Watching him from afar, feeling the weight of his unspoken words, sensing the storm brewing between us that neither of us dared to name. He noticed. Of course he did. His eyes followed me, searching for answers I couldn't give. I saw the same battle raging in him, desire clawing at his restraint, fear anchoring him to reason. We were both trapped in the same silent war, chained by the very rules we longed to break. Every accidental brush of his hand, every stolen glance, every moment our eyes met across a crow. It happened on a night I'll never forget. The kind of night where the air itself feels different, charged with something invisible, something inevitable. I told myself I wouldn't go. I told myself I had to stay away from him, that I couldn't risk it anymore. But fate has a cruel way of ignoring our rules. I saw him standing there, waiting. His eyes found me instantly, as if he had been searching for me long before I arrived. I felt my breath catch, my pulse quicken, and in that moment, all the weeks of restraint, all the silent battles I had fought, collapsed. My body moved before my mind could stop it. We didn't speak at first. Words felt too fragile, too small to hold the weight of what lived between us. He stepped closer, and I felt it again. That fire rushing through me, consuming every inch of who I thought I was. My heart pounded in my ears. My hands trembled. And when his fingers brushed against mine once more, there was no resistance left in me. This time, I didn't pull away. I let him touch me. I let him hold me. And when his lips finally found mine, it was as if the universe itself exhaled. Everything I had been starving for, everything I had denied, came rushing into me in that kiss. It wasn't gentle, it wasn't tentative, it was desperate, hungry, raw, the collision of two souls who had been fighting gravity for far too long. I melted against him, every nerve in my body alive with sensation. His hands traced my back, pulling me closer, as though he was afraid I'd disappear. I could feel his breath, uneven and heavy, mixing with mine, the heat of his body igniting something so primal inside me I didn't know whether to surrender or to burn. Time lost its meaning. The world blurred into nothing. All that existed was us, the taste of his lips, the strength of his arms, the way his heartbeat raced in rhythm with mine. It wasn't just passion, it was relief. After that night, the world felt different. I carried his touch with me everywhere, the warmth of his hands, the taste of his lips, the way his body fit against mine as if it had always belonged there. Every step I took felt lighter, every glance at him carried a secret meaning. Yet with that sweetness came a weight, a heavy truth that wrapped itself around my heart. We couldn't tell anyone. What we had was too dangerous, too forbidden to ever exist in the open. So we lived in stolen moments, in whispered words that slipped between breaths, in glances that lingered longer than they should have. Our love became a fragile secret, hidden beneath the surface of ordinary life, glowing like embers no one else could see. There was a thrill in it, a dangerous beauty. When his hand brushed against mine in passing, it felt like a lightning strike. When our eyes met across a crowded room, I could feel my entire body ignite. It was as if every small gesture became a sacred ritual, a language only we understood. And yet, with every stolen glance came the ache of restraint, the reminder that the world would never accept what lived between us. The secrecy both bound us and broke us. It made our love more precious, more intense, because every moment together felt like it could be the last. Every kiss was stolen, every embrace was hidden, and maybe that's why it felt so powerful, so unforgettable, because it existed against the odds, because it wasn't supposed to survive, and yet it did. There were nights when I would lie awake, my body still aching from his touch, and wonder how long we could keep living like this. The fear was always there, a shadow pressing at the edges of my happiness. What if someone found out? What if everything collapsed around us? But then I'd think of his eyes, the way they softened when he looked at me, and I knew I couldn't give him up. Not now, not. Loving him was the most intoxicating joy I had ever known, and the most unbearable torment. There were nights when his arms wrapped around me felt like the only place I belonged. His lips on my skin erased years of loneliness. His heartbeat against mine silenced every fear. And yet, when the dawn crept in, reality always came crashing back. I had to leave him, pretend nothing happened, carry the secret of us in silence while the world demanded I live another life. The ache of it was constant. Every stolen kiss came with the sting of guilt. Every whispered, "I love you," echoed with the reminder that we were crossing lines that could ruin us both. I told myself I was strong enough to walk away, but each time I tried, the thought of losing him broke me open. He became my oxygen, and yet every breath with him burned. There were moments when I hated myself for wanting him so desperately, moments when I looked in the mirror and saw the reflection of a woman torn apart, drowning in the fire of her own choices. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't put out the flames. I didn't want to. We fought sometimes, not with anger, but with sorrow. He would look at me with eyes full of conflict, his voice heavy with guilt as he whispered, "What are we doing?" I had no answer, only tears, only the desperate ache of knowing I couldn't let him go. And when he pulled me into his arms again, when his lips silenced the questions with fire, we both surrendered. We always surrendered. The pain was in the in-between, the hours apart stretched like knives, each one slicing deeper into my chest. Seeing him in public, forced to act like strangers, felt like punishment. My heart screamed to run to him, to claim him, to hold his hand in the daylight. But all I could do was swallow the ache and smile for the world. I wondered if love was meant to hurt this much. Was it still love if it tore? I used to believe love was something safe, something you could fit neatly into the lines of expectation, a gentle hand you could hold without fear. But then he touched me, and everything I thought I knew about love unraveled. Now, when I think of him, I don't think of safety. I think of sorry. I think of the storm in his eyes when he looked at me, the way his arms felt like home, even as they burned me alive. I think of the way he whispered my name like a prayer, like a secret he would carry to the grave, and I know, whatever name the world gives to what we had, this was love. Real, irresistible, eternal. We were never free. We both knew it. We lived in shadows, cloaked in secrecy, forced to hide the truth of us. But in those stolen moments, I felt more alive than I ever had in the light. He gave me something no one else ever could. He made me feel seen. Not the version of myself I showed to the world, but the raw, unpolished, trembling soul I kept hidden. He saw her, and he loved her. And that changed me forever. Even if the world tore us apart, even if time pulled us in different directions, even if guilt and fear pressed in on us until we could hardly breathe, nothing could erase the truth of what we shared. It's carved into me, etched into every heartbeat, every breath, every scar. I loved him in ways that words will never capture. With every fiber of my being, with every ounce of fire my soul could hold, I gave myself to him. And though the world may call it forbidden, though others may see it as reckless, I know what it really was. It was lifeblood. It was the kind of love that people spend lifetimes searching for, the kind that consumes you, transforms you, and never, ever lets you go. There were nights when I would lay in his arms, listening to his heartbeat, and think, if this is wrong, then let me never be right. Because in his arms, I wasn't lost. I was found. Damn. And maybe we didn't get forever. Maybe we never could. But love doesn't always need a lifetime to be eternal. Sometimes all it takes is one touch, one kiss, one soul recognizing another, and eternity is born. That's what he gave me. That's what we became. So yes, his forbidden touch became my lifeline. It saved me from a life of numbness, from a world where I had forgotten how to feel. It awakened me, consumed me, and left me forever changed. And though it came with pain, with guilt, with scars, I'll carry always. I would choose it again, every single time, because some loves are worth the fire, and ours will burn inside me for as long as I live. If you felt the fire of this story, if it touched something deep inside your soul, then let your heart speak back. Like this story, share it and subscribe. Because love, like this, raw and real, deserves to be remembered, deserves to be told. Every story I share is a piece of truth, a confession, a reminder that passion, intimacy, and deep love live in all of us, waiting to be awakened. If this story stayed with you, if it left your heart beating faster, then stay with me. There are more truths, more stories, more loves to uncover together. Because love like this is not just a story, it's a lifeline. And maybe it will awaken yours too.